This next piece is going to go on Think Different. In fact, I think it already has. And it's for people to copy and paste and adjust it accordingly. It's just a guideline for those who have been requested for vaccines. And it says as follows: as you have requested vaccines for our child or children, it is my duty as a parent to protect them in the event of vaccine or vaccines causing adverse reactions to our child or children. I am requesting you sign this indemnity form before you administer the vaccine as a protection for our child or children. In the event of our child or children becoming sick or other maladies following this vaccine, you, the administrator of this vaccine, are responsible for damages totaling, and I put $250 million. You can change it to $250 billion. Doesn't make any difference. Plus all the medical costs to correct it. Should you choose not to sign this indemnity, which in effect states you cannot guarantee the safety of our child or children, then it is my responsibility and right as a parent to refuse this vaccination. What you're then doing is you are taking personal responsibility for your child, not handing it over to others who have no idea what they're giving your child or you. None. They don't know what's in that vaccine. The only people that know are the ones that filled them up. We have to stop trusting these people, and we have to start putting them on notice that the nurse who gives you, or the doctor that gives you that vaccination, has to be held personally responsible for it. Because if they can't guarantee your safety, why should you trust them? Why should we? So at the bottom there would be name and position, and they would put that in capitals and then sign it. If that nurse or doctor refuses to sign it, then you have the right to say, I'm protecting my child, because you cannot guarantee the safety of my child. That will go on the Think Different website for people to download. Next item. As archaeological people find several discoveries in the Middle East exposing the myth of Israel, Jerusalem, and the peoples known as the Jews that have been used badly as pawns. This is one of the latest discoveries, an ancient tablet that was stated by the authorities to say on it, the House of David. But mysteriously, part of that tablet was damaged, covering the name. But upon a more detailed examination, has found that it actually states the House of Balak. Oops. This is a common theme in that region. Everything to fit into a narrative. And archaeology in that region and in Egypt is currently beyond a joke. People are denied access. Theories put forward are denied. Grants are cut off to people and awarded to in-house groups, pun intended, that only relay their official narrative and his story, not ours. And anything that ties in to the Egyptians built the pyramids, and all the pharaohs were Egyptian, and all of Jerusalem and its surrounding areas fit into the Bible story as it has been relayed to us, except it's not. And as an example, let's look at or rather not. I'd rather not look at him, because people with a more violent tendency than I would like to punch him in the face. Zahi Hawass. Let's look at his antics more closely. Mr. Hawass has been accused of dominating behaviour, forbidding archaeological people to announce their own findings, and courting the media for his own gain after they were denied access to archaeological sites because, according to Mr. Hawass, they were too amateurish. Really? Now, people wanted to do DNA sampling, but Mr. Hawass stated he is sceptical of the DNA testing of Egyptian mummies, and stated, from what I understand, it's not always accurate and cannot always be done with complete success when dealing with mummies. And until we know for sure that it's accurate, we will not use it in our research. Reality is, he's not sceptical at all. He is blocking an investigation to fit a created narrative of our history. Now, back in December of 2000, a joint team from Waseda University in Japan and Cairo's Ain Shams University tried to get permission for DNA testing of Egyptian mummies, but was denied by the Egyptian government. Now, Hawass stated at the time that DNA analysis was out of the question because it would not lead to anything. The two of them are in league, Hawass and the Egyptian government. Makes too much money, you see, in the tourist industry. But then in 2010, Mr. Hawass and his private team announced that they had analysed the mummies of Tutankhamun and 10 other mummies, and said that the king could have died from malaria infection that followed a leg fracture. Oops. German researchers Christian Timmann and Christian Meyer have cast doubt on this theory, suggesting other possible alternatives for Tutankhamun's cause of death. Now, in 2012, a study signed by Hawass disclosed that Ramesses III had a haplogroup that is associated with the Bantu expansion and is the most dominant in the sub-Saharan Africa, E1B1A. I'll cover what the Bantu is shortly. So it's a case of you can only use DNA when it's conveniently controlled. Isn't that right, Mr. Hawass? So let's look at Bantu. Now, the Bantu expansion started on the west coast of Africa, not the east, the west, and spread out from there. And here is something to ponder on. What if that expansion was due to people arriving on boats from other regions? A bit like the Europeans arriving on the east coast of America and expanding out from there. And like some of the Europeans arriving in America, these Bantu groups eliminated the Pygmies and also the Khoisan populations. Now, Khoisan were the indigenous people of Africa. Oops. And this Bantu group appeared from nowhere on the west coast and suddenly spread out. It's a bit like what happened in America, really. Is it not? Now, the word Ubuntu comes from Bantu, which is Nguni Bantu, and the term means humanity. In a philosophical sense, it means the belief in a universal bond of sharing that connects all of humanity. But such a shame that such a good concept morphed into another money-making exercise by certain individuals in the alt media. but such is life these days. Now, the real reason Mr. Hawass and his band of grave robbers, which is essentially what they are, won't allow independent testing is many of those so-called pharaohs had red hair, and that is not native to that region. Oops, you see, it's all about money.